Hi everybody, I'm Nick Vole and welcome outside Vancouver Public Schools, a look at how education continues even though kids aren't in traditional classrooms. Today we're looking at the SMT program from Skyview High School, that's Science, Math, and Technology. A team from Skyview has been selected as one of 23 from around the world to be considered for a major honor. They submitted a project to the Beamline for Schools Particle Physics Competition, which is sponsored by CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. If that name sounds familiar, it should. CERN runs the largest particle physics lab in the world and is home to the Large Hadron Collider. The students are one of only 23 teams selected from around the world, and if they make the final two, they and their teacher get to go to the DESI Particle Accelerator in Germany and conduct their experiment. Here's the video they made to describe the project.
Hey Subatomic Storm, how's your proposal going?
It's electrifying. Let me show you. Our focus is on the degradation of polyethylene terephthalate.
What?
Also known as PET, it's the most common microplastic that pollutes our oceans. This is our experimental setup.
First, we're going to collimate the feed.
Then, we have a halo counter behind our sample to measure and align particles coming off of the sample, such as deuterium and deuterons.
Wait, deuterium and deuterons?
Right over here.
Deuterium is an isotope of hydrogen with a single proton, neutron, and electron. Take away an electron, and you have a deuteron.
Wait, what happens next?
Back to the setup.
After the halo counter, we'll be using a series of electric and magnetic fields to separate the positively charged particles before increasing their speeds to an equal velocity.
Then, the path of the particles will be curved using a bending magnet. Using a micromagnetic detector, we can figure out how many deuterons are formed, and when they level off, we know that all the bonds are broken.
How will you know for sure the bonds are broken?
We'll show you.
Through a process called swelling, an increase in weight will confirm the degradation of our sample.
Sweet, thanks for explaining all this.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for visiting.
And I'm joined now by members of the team. I've got Larry, Natalie, and their teacher, Mr. Macon. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So pretend for a moment you're speaking to someone who's really slow. What is your project exactly? And really remembering you're talking to someone who may not have the same level of scientific expertise as you guys.
So basically our project is about dealing with the microplastic crisis. So for us, the whole project really started back last summer when I participated in kind of a program that was about like ocean sustainability and ocean health, but also about how like sustainable fisheries and things like that. And one of the big like activities I guess we did was a microplastics beach cleanup down in Otter Rock, I think, with Solve and the Surfrider Foundation. And basically, I just became super frustrated, I guess, with how long and how tedious this process of cleanup was. And so we kind of connected the dots from there, like when we were trying to think of ideas for projects that we could basically involve this high-powered electron beam. We decided that we should try and break down these microplastics in like a non-invasive manner using a electron beam.
So what exactly is a microplastic?
So the microplastics, if you imagine like the old Bath and Body Works soap with the blue beads in it, those blue beads are microplastics. They're in a lot of like beauty products, and they're just like little, really, really small plastic particles that can make their way into like the food system. And then when animals eat it and other animals eat them, it can cause a lot of problems like up the food chain.
So when you take a shower, you use that scrub, it goes down the drain, it makes its way into the watershed now to all the...
Yeah, and it was banned in the US a few years ago in beauty products, but that's kind of what started it, because there's still like all the old stuff floating around.
But besides that, it's like the actual definition is just like any plastic that is 5 micrometers to 5 millimeters. So like a really big portion of this problem is something that is called like nurdles, which is basically like little plastic pellets, and those are used for just to create like basically anything plastic. So when we have like large shipping containers of this moving across the ocean, any one container that falls over is depositing like millions of these microplastics into our ocean. They wash up on our beaches, they get into our animals. It's just everywhere.
So you're proposing then using an electron, again, I'm not the brightest guy in the world. How are you breaking these down in your proposal?
We are going to since we are testing us hopefully in a lab setting, depending on how the final results of the competition play out, but in order to keep it very controlled and lab-based, instead of using actual microplastics, we'll be switching to really thin lab-grade plastic sheets. And what we decided to go with was 5mm sheets, which is the biggest, I guess, diameter in the range that microplastics can be. So basically our test is to try and take our electron beam and set it at different momenta or different energies and see how this combined with exposure time really affects how much this plastic dissociates. And Natalie, would you like to talk about how we test for this dissociation?
Yeah, so we're trying to break down basically the sheet into a lot of different parts. So our goal is to help it dissociates the technical word. Our goal is to help it break down in a natural setting that's less harmful to the environment. So to test that, we're going to do this really complicated kind of swelling test where we soak the plastics in a solution, and then depending on how much water, it's not technically water, but depending on how much solution they absorb, then we'll know how many bonds have been broken. And our goal is to break as many bonds as we can, because then we know that it worked.
Okay.
And besides that, we have, I guess, a running theory, I guess, based on our research that this dissociation is supposed to produce something called deuterium and deuterons. So deuterium is basically just a proton, neutron, and an electron. And when you take away that electron, it becomes a positively charged deuteron. And since it's positively charged, we are able to manipulate that using electric and magnetic fields to kind of determine how many deuterons are produced.
You guys were one of 23 teams selected from around the world. How does it feel to have your work recognized in this way and to be in the running for such a prestigious honor?
It's pretty cool. We've been watching our YouTube video views go up. That's exciting. Yeah. It's really cool just to see all the other teams too. We were looking at some of their videos and they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it. It's Turkey, Argentina, Japan, Germany, Spain, the UK, Canada, Poland, Switzerland. I mean, it's the entire world, and you guys were selected from among them. That's got to feel really, I don't know, rewarding, because I'm sure this wasn't an easy project to put together.
Yeah, it's just starting to get nerve-wracking, because I guess we're in the final stretch. It's do we actually get to go to Germany and actually complete this experiment, or does it stay in this proposal hypothetical stage?
Sure. Mr. Macon, how proud are you of your students for getting this far?
I mean, it's tremendous. I can't tell. I mean, I'm happy just personally, just because I'm spoiled in having wonderful students in general, but to put together this team of 7 students has been really special. And there's never, anytime you assemble a team, there's never any guarantee that it's gonna work. And I think a point of pride for me, aside from just being so happy for them, is the fact that they really did sell out for this competition. I mean, they did phenomenal work. Some late night Skype calls happening about word choice between these two and me specifically happened quite frequently. And, trying to hit that 1,000-word count that is required by the competition and what words, it really made it, I can't tell you how they didn't leave any rock unturned, basically. They dug deep. The research they conducted was exceptional for high school level students. I've never seen anything like it. And I mean, this competition, to be good at it, quite honestly demands it. So I'm just elated. It's a pretty special feeling. And I'm even more excited just for the potential that could still come in terms of being selected. So, being a first year team, it's tremendous to be in the top 23 of a worldwide field of competition. It's just amazing. And, it's a physics competition. How many of those really exist? And it's pretty special there.
Did you bring this competition to them, or did they bring it to you? And if you brought it to them, why do you want your students to be engaging in competitions like this?
Well, it fit, I think with the SMT magnet specifically, kind of the message that has been received by the teachers is to play to their strengths. I'm the physics teacher, so a physics competition felt very natural to me. This also felt like a really, aside from the clearly intellectual talent that's available at Skyview, we are like, we were well positioned for this competition, in my opinion. It fit not necessarily my expertise. I'm not an expert in particle physics by any stretch, but it fit what I'm interested in, and I think it fit the intellect of what these students would strive for. I think the level of the competition was really, it met their level of, intellectual curiosity and their drive.
Guys, were you surprised at all that you were able to pull all this together? I mean, you're still in high school. This is pretty high level stuff. Did you surprise yourselves with your ability to understand the challenge and actually make something high quality for it?
I would say definitely yes. When we first started meeting, because basically we started meeting and it was like, okay, we have to come up with something. And we knew we wanted to do something kind of climate related because we wanted to do something relevant that could actually make a change. So we started looking at a bunch of different things. We were looking at how to break down carbon dioxide and then different sort of air pollutants. And then we eventually went to microplastics. And I had no idea what microplastics were. So that was a big learning curve for me. But it was cool to see, especially Mr. Macon actually sent out our first draft to a bunch of teachers, and I was reading through it and I was like, oh no. But seeing how different the first draft was from the final was crazy. And especially because everyone kind of fell into a role. So we had one girl who did all of our graphic design, and that was definitely the finishing touch. It looked super cool at the end.
This is also, I should say, on top of basically a crash course through basics of particle physics. Not only were they doing research about the environment, on 2 days after school, I was also being all right, guys, here's how charged particles behave within a magnetic field, which is something many of my students, even though they'd had a physics class, they hadn't had that level of physics. So them having to get up to snuff on the physics and then apply it to what was going on environmentally, I mean, it's just truly exceptional. I consistently I have goosebumps just talking about it right now.
When we started, because we started trying to understand the competition, so it's just reading through what they had, but then also reading through the past winners' proposals. It was a lot of whoa, what the heck is all of this stuff? So going into it initially, it was kind of scary and daunting, I guess. So it's just amazing how much of a learning experience it's been.
When did you start preparing for this competition, and how long did you have to put your materials together?
I had heard and proposed this competition to the SMT faculty the school year prior. So basically a year ago, about this time last year, so late May, I had heard about this competition and started digging and started kind of thinking of okay, this is something that's up my area of interest, what students might be interested in. I think, Larry, I approached you towards the end of last school year initially just to put it on your radar. And then Natalie, you as well.
Yeah, I think we all got an email about it by the time summer started and some videos to watch and stuff. And then we didn't start, I think it started basically when school started. We started reading twice a week. And then especially actually once quarantine hit, that's when it was our time to start putting stuff together. So Larry and I and everyone else, we were doing very long Zoom calls, and it was before they updated Zoom. So the Zoom calls would die every 30 minutes and we had to start a new one. But yeah, so I guess that kind of worked out for us. We had plenty of time to put stuff together for sure.
So a pretty long process and then a relatively short judging period. When do you find out if you're going to get to go to Germany?
So far, all we know that sometime in June. We're hoping towards the beginning of June, but we don't know much more besides that.
Natalie and Larry, what grade are you guys in?
I'm a senior, so I'm graduating.
And I am a junior this year.
A junior, okay. So, I mean, Larry, you're still a year out, but Natalie, this is sort of the end of your high school run. What do you guys see yourselves doing with science moving forward?
My plan, I committed to the University of Southern California, and I'm studying computer science.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Well, I got into computer science, so I'm hoping I like it and it's a good fit. But I definitely, one of the reasons that I decided to go to that school is they're a big research institution, and doing this research project is definitely something I want to keep doing in college.
Yeah. For me, science has always kind of been my thing. So I've kind of gone through all the AP science classes we have at Skyview. But for next year, I just really want to either see where this project takes us and maybe start a new research project, because I know since freshman year, I have been doing these like science research projects, and it's just kind of like built up to this, I guess.
Sure. Guys, is there anything I haven't asked you that you think is important to say about this project?
I think it's just incredible. Like on a somewhat personal note, I had a lot of talent, but I also think that students undersell what they're capable of. If I had told them a year ago that they would be a finalist in a worldwide competition, I'm not sure each individual of the team would have believed me, especially when it came to the high-level science that is a particle physics competition, right? I would say, hey, you're going to be one of the top 23 teams in the world. I don't think any individual student would have said, yeah, that sounds about right. You know, I don't think that's the way people operate or what they think. And so I think we consistently undersell ourselves. And I think this team of students is exceptional and very special. And I think is also a proof that we sometimes undersell ourselves in terms of what we're capable of. And this is a really special moment that kind of proves, I hope, at least to 7 very special students to me, that they're capable of anything.
I just think it's cool. When we started, like I said, I didn't think we would really win. And then just as we kept working on it, like Larry and I were talking, we were texting, it was like, yeah, like we kind of have a shot. I don't know. I think our idea is like pretty good. It makes a lot of sense. And then we're like pulling it together. It was like, we actually have a shot. Like Larry was saying he wasn't surprised by the shortlist when we were talking, which I don't believe. You still have to be kind of surprised. But we, like, our confidence definitely grew as we were working on it, which was cool to see. Because like we wanted to win in the beginning, but it just didn't seem feasible until we like put everything together, and it was like, wow, compared to the people who have won in the past, this looks pretty good.
Yeah, but just having quarantine, like that gave us a lot more extra time to kind of like work on this, I guess, but also trying to adjust from like physical meetings to virtual meetings was hard. But I do like remember like the day before we submitted, I like kind of called Natalie and I was freaking out. I was like, what if none of this works out? Like, what if this, like, it's just completely impossible and we just submit something and they look at us and like, what the heck is this? So
We're like, well, we already did it, so
Yeah,
we're submitting
so-
it no matter what. Yeah.
Well, guys, congratulations on the honor, and we'll keep our eyes peeled to see if you make it to the final 2 to get to go to Germany. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
And that's it for us. Thanks for watching Outside Vancouver Public Schools. Until next time, I'm Nick Bohl.